Black, who you should follow on X and goes by Gary Black 00, says, many investors want to blame high interest rates as the cause of Tesla being down about 38% from its all-time highs, when other Mag 7 names are their all-time highs. That's just false. Tesla, from its down 38% for just one reason. Tesla cut EV prices by 20% in 22 through 23. Their volume estimates didn't change, and earnings estimates came down by 40%. Tesla could have offered select inventory discounts or brought down loan rates to drive affordability. He doesn't mention his favorite, which is advertised. Instead, they went full bore, and Tesla's earnings and stock plunged. Okay, Gary's point is well taken, though I could add multiple other reasons. He only has the one, and he could add these same reasons too, because he has in the past. Number one, higher interest rates result in a different PE, since you use a different expected interest rate to discount future earnings. And, I could go on and on as to why why I could talk about FUD and misinformation and the mainstream media just trying everything that they know how to do to destroy the stock. I mean, there's all kinds of other things that are going on besides just what Gary's talking about. However, the biggest bone I have to pick with him is that Elon's stated goal is to get the prices down to where the consumer sees the cars, that the sticker price is roughly equivalent to other vehicles that are so-called equivalent. The long-term cost of ownership, we already know. It's been lower than the equivalent, so-called equivalent cars for years. Not to mention the other soft benefits like the safety, the entertainment center, they're just incomparable. But looks, performance, and sticker is usually about as far as folks get. And for many, it is also, what did my daddy drive? Or my mom? Anyway, listen, this is Randy Kirk. If you like what I'm doing on this channel, please hit the like button. Even if you're new, and I hope I'm going to say hello to anybody that's new to the channel. If you're new to the channel, hang around, see whether you like what I'm talking about, then hit the like button. But we need folks to hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit notify. Why do you want to hit notify? Because tomorrow morning, I'm going to tell you the tale of a conversation I had yesterday with some folks and what they think about Elon. This one particular party was willing to go along with my effort to really parse it out for the benefit of this program. He's himself is kind of negative on Elon and kind of negative on Tesla. And I wanted to know why. And without getting into an argument over it, I just wanted him to explain it fully. I think you'll find this to be an amazing show. There'll be a little more to it than that. We'll also take a look at some of the recent headlines just for fun or not. Is that fun or not? I actually don't know. Okay, so in the meantime, you want to make sure you place your order for your Cybertruck bottle openers and refrigerator magnets. Really, you're probably going to want to do that by Monday if you really want to be sure you're going to see these show up in time for Christmas. Yes, I will continue to send out almost all of them in the special envelopes that get there in 2 to 3 days. So you can figure on that. Most everything you could probably order up until Wednesday, but don't do that. I mean, okay, I'm going to still want your order on Wednesday, but why would you want to put yourself through that? All right. And then join Patreon, of course. Elon is showing optimism over X. He's in Italy. I think that was yesterday. He did an interview, and during the course of the interview, he says he thinks that X is going to be just fine, and that advertisers who pause their ads are starting to return. He mentioned Netflix as one of those that returned. I think there was a couple of others, but anyway, he says, people are getting over it. They're starting to come back. Tesla boomer mama, Alexandra Mers, who has been on this channel, is always checking the job postings at Tesla, and she found a really juicy one this time. Tesla is looking for someone to design the public-facing interface for the Dojo computer. Now, that's not conclusive evidence, but it certainly suggests that Tesla is seriously looking at Dojo as a service rolling out. Oh my, Elon said that that's another multi $100 billion business. All right, we'll see. He said it might be later this year. Late into 2024, that could be rolled out if they found that there was a competitive opportunity there. We'll see. She said all that on Tesla Bulls, with Herbert on. She also said that 2026 is the year when everything Tesla pans out. Well, look at there. Actually, I think that Tesla Boomer Mama and I agree on a ton of stuff. But I've been saying for, 7 months, I think was the first time I did a video on 2026 as being when things are all going to completely gel. So I don't know whether she came to this conclusion on her own, or, I know she watches my show sometimes. Anyway, it's hard to imagine a scenario where Optimus and Robotaxi will not be a very big deal in 2026. Think about it. We're so close to Optimus and Robotaxi now. Give it 2 more years. All of 2024, all of 2025. By 2026, I think we can all conclude there's a very, very high percentage likelihood that both of those products will have rolled out. We'll generate lots of revenue, and we'll basically be turning Tesla into the largest company in the world by maybe double or triple. Anyway, now you could add in energy, add in the Generation 3 vehicles. Those will both be well along by then. The Cybertruck, which I'm sure, will be maybe at 500,000 or 1 million run rate. And then you got the Semi, which I think maybe later next year in 2024, I think we'll start to see those rolling out. And you'll have this huge, huge company. Okay. 2 years from now, that's it. We're down to 2 years. And of course, now Dojo as a service on top of that. Well, I don't think it's a surprise, but Elon Musk said that oil and gas should not be demonized in the medium term. And as a result of that, I got a scathing email from one of my favorite folks that I communicate with all the time. Elon has long characterized the CO2 global warming issue as non-existential, not even cataclysmic to the planet. I think he agrees with the UN, who has said, worst case, not in 100, not in the very, 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 very worst case, but for most of the cases that they're looking at, you're talking about a lot of folks picking up and having to move in order to deal with global warming, but they're not talking about an existential crisis. Anyway, he believes, and I do too, that weaning off of fossil fuels will have multiple benefits, including reducing the cost of energy. These are the things that he's trying to do. Getting off of fossil fuels eventually will have the benefits of reducing the cost of energy, increasing general wealth, especially among the poorest of us. They'll be the most beneficial, reducing smog and particulates, and creating sustainability and reducing CO2 in the atmosphere. These are all good things, but demonizing oil and gas is not the answer. Producing the better resources is the answer, and it will take time to get there. Elon has not changed his position on this. It is completely consistent over the entire time that I've been following him and writing books about him and doing these videos about him. And he's been completely consistent. And he says, look, it's going to take time. In fact, he says we still need to build new nuclear, and we should not be closing down the nuclear that's being closed down. He says we need it all right now. Eventually, 10, 15 years from now, we'll be hugely switched over to electric, and oil and natural gas will be used for things like plastics and fertilizers, where the solar is not going to do much good. Anyway, so this story, the next story, is spreading. Biden's FCC, this is a headline. Biden's FCC opens a new front in the administration's war on Elon Musk. Subheadline: the Federal Communications Commission's attack on Starlink throws the independence of federal agencies into question. So you see, people are starting to pick up on it. Other people are starting to write it. I forgot to note where this was coming from. I just forgot to write it down. Anyway, but this was just a mainstream media, idea. Lex Friedman suggested, he's got a podcast out yesterday with Jeff Bezos as his star of that podcast. Well worth listening to if you like listening to Friedman's long form podcast. Jeff Bezos, he said that Jeff Bezos and Elon should spend time together and begin a friendship that would inspire the entirety of humanity. And Bezos replied, I agree with you, Lex. And I think with a lot of these endeavors, we're very like-minded. Then he added, so I think, I'm not saying we're identical, but we're like-minded. So I love the idea. Elon, you ought to check out Jeff. Maybe you guys could be buds. All right. Bradford Ferguson broke some news today on his Rebellionaire YouTube channel, talking about the fact that lenders are now taking into consideration the 10% rebate that utilities will earn when they purchase a megapack. Also, he said that Tesla's lawyers have put out a position paper on the legal interpretation of the content in those megapacks that it's 95% U.S. source. I'll ask Bradford more about that on Thursday if you'll remind me. I want to hear more. Anyway, maybe you knew this, but I was surprised. If you have a reservation for a Cybertruck and you want to buy some other Tesla automobile right now, like a Model 3 or a Y or an S or an X, you get an automatic $1,000 discount. And you don't have to give up your reservation to do so. I had seen the article. I had kind of gone like, whatever, but I didn't realize you're not like trading in your reservation location in order to get the $1,000 discount. You get to take the discount just because you've been loyal enough to put the reservation in. I think that's a heck of a good deal. All right. Multiple resources today are suggesting that solar roofs will also benefit from lower interest rates. People expecting the solar roof industry, the solar panel industry to have a very good 2024 because of interest rates coming down. Elon has said exactly the same thing, that interest rates were a big factor in a tough year for solar, a tough 18 months for solar. And then last week, Tesla put out an ad saying they will not be underbid. We will absolutely be the lowest on solar and energy storage installations. So maybe this division could finally emerge from losses into profits. Yes, Tesla makes money on the solar power walls, but they lose money, and they've been losing money for a long time on the solar part of the business. I've always been excited about that solar part of the business. I hardly talk about it because it's been losing and losing and losing. Anyway, the average rate for the 30-year fixed mortgage, the most popular in the country, fell nearly 20 basis points from Wednesday's 6.82, right, which was already lower. After the Fed's announcement, went down to 6.64. That's the lowest number I've seen so far. That's one of the biggest two-day moves we've ever seen, said Mortgage News Daily's Chief Operating Officer, Matthew Graham. By the way, Mortgage News Daily is where I get my most accurate information about mortgages. And I've been, as I've mentioned before, I've been doing this for 15 years. In fact, if you need a mortgage, if you're thinking about buying a house, a condo, even a multiplex or something like that, and you don't have a mortgage lender that you're thrilled with, you should call my guy. He's down in the information below in the description. Name is Bill Rayman, and he is in the top 1% of all mortgage lenders, and he's extremely clever at getting deals done, even with difficult situations in terms of maybe, your tax status or all those possible difficult problems. All right. This morning, I quoted some stats that generally pointed to a good stock market result in election years. The exceptions were Obama and Bush, both of them when they were running for their second terms, and they won. That year, the markets got crushed. Markets like a change of administration. For some reason, they really like to see the administration change over. They particularly like to see it go from Democrat to Republican. I know you know how I feel on political matters, but that's just the truth. Anyway, when Obama got his second term, the market did very poorly that year. All right, but now this is another interesting stat about potential for next year. According to Ben Carlson of Ritz-Holtz Wealth, after a year of gains of 20% or more in the S&P 500, like this year, the index added more gains the following year, 65% of the time. 22 out of 34 years that happened. The average return following a 20% or higher year was 8.9. So you put that together along with the election thing, and things could be really, really good next year unless Biden wins. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. All right. Dr. Know-It-All. He says the world is, Dr. Know-It-All, John Gibbs. He was one of the co-authors on the book, The Elon Musk Mission. Have you bought your copy yet? Okay. The world is weird, he says. Today I'm doing a holiday visit with my wife's rather conservative extended family. 3 years ago, they all hated Elon and Tesla, and now they love the car and want to talk about both. 3 years ago, my rather liberal extended family, his own family, loved Elon and Tesla, and now they hate them both. The pendulum swings. Again, I don't know why he's so shocked. I don't know, maybe, he probably watches my station 3 times a day. No, I doubt it because he's a professor and has his own channel. But anyway, if he'd been watching the channel, he would know that I've been talking about that, I think, for 9 months. Is that what we're seeing now, even though I don't think Elon did it intentionally, is as he's moved across the center of the fulcrum and gone over to the right, slightly to the right on some issues, not all, he has picked up Republican support and he's lost Democrat support. And in particular on this matter of freedom of speech, which is so weird. I was telling my kids yesterday at the party, we had a Christmas party last night. I said, when I was at UCLA, freedom of speech was the big issue, right? You guys all know that. Everybody that's on this channel was there at the time. Guess what, guys? Freedom of speech was the issue, but it was the liberals that were complaining about the Republicans not being willing to provide the freedom to the communists and the socialists that they wanted to be able to speak and or even teach at UCLA. Angela Davis come to mind? Okay. Talking about a weird world, there seems to be an all-out war at this point, brewing against white men. And I'm offended. So check out this headline from CNN. According to Ben Carlson, whoops, that was wrong. Here we go. That got in there twice. OpenAI's newest problem. OpenAI's newest problem. It is now overseen exclusively by, and they got their headline wrong. This must have been somebody that wasn't very good at what they did. It's now overseen exclusively seen by white men. A headline. My goodness. Anyway, this is their problem. Their problem is it overseen exclusively by white men. Now, I could argue easily, and I will in a minute, that a company might be just as good or sometimes better if it was diverse, whatever that means, because sometimes we don't know who's white and who's not anymore. Do you know what I mean? My family in particular is a complete melting pot. Almost everybody in my wives, I've had a couple or 3, my wives, my children, my grandchildren are a complete melting pot of Spanish, Mexican, American Indian, and some of them, you can see some of that Mexican and American Indian in them, and some of them, they look as, like they've been taking their suntans under fluorescent lights like me. Okay, so, are they white? Are they Mexican? Are they American Indian? What are they? If they get the Indian money, do they qualify? So anyway, it drives me crazy. Could care less what color you are. What are your skill sets? What can you do for me? That's how I've always hired. Never had anything. Going back my entire history. I mean, I lived in Inglewood for 30 years. I still have a home in Inglewood in a neighborhood that is substantially, almost entirely a Black neighborhood. Although, again, what's Black? You have to be 25% white to be Black. I mean, if you're 25% Black, are you still Black? I don't know. How does this work? I'm done with it. So anyway, once we figure out what it means to be white or Black or Asian, because certainly there's a massive number of people that are mixed race and white Asian, I don't know. It's just the tone of the headline. And then it was followed by this. If anything, she said, the mission reminds me more of things like white savior complex, referring to an ideology that posits some white people can develop a belief that it's their role to know best and protect communities of color. Yeah, okay. Well, that's maybe what the liberals have been doing for a very, very long time. They believe that the blacks can't come up with their own voter ID without, I mean, come on. Anyway, the DEI movement is anti-white, it's anti-Jewish, it's anti-Asian. Absolutely no question about it. And this can't be the best path to a future of equity, and certainly not a future of equality of opportunity, which I think is what we're really about in this country, not equity of outcome. That is not what we're supposed to be looking for. Anyway, okay, I'm done with that particular rant. Please hit like. Even if you didn't like my rant, please hit like for the rest of the show. And then hit subscribe and notify so that you can absolutely, be there for tomorrow when I do this analysis of what people really are thinking. And I'm going to also provide the answer. If you know somebody that's on the other side of these questions, I'm sure you've got your own arguments, but I'll just add a few more in case you'd like that. And then in the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, of course, we have our regular Sunday night programming where we take a look at the upcoming week. It's going to be a huge week next week because they take all that stuff that should have been in the week after Christmas and they shove it into the third week. And so next week, there's reports and stuff every single day. I don't think it's going to affect the market much. I think the market will just kind of continue to bubble up nicely until the end of the year. And then in January, we'll kind of see where we're sitting on January 2nd or 3rd and whether there'll be a breather or maybe the bull just continues on in January. We'll see. You also want to go back to this morning. Show did extremely well this morning. I will put a card right up here. We were talking about what is the new narrative in the stock market, in the economy? How are investors looking at the overall, not the Tesla narrative here? What is the overall narrative right now? Take a look at that. Like I said, the card will be above. Remember, pick up your order for your Cybertruck bottle opener, $25 for one, $45 for two, $65 for three. All that information is down below in the description. You can send it to paypal.me/Randy Kirk. I still have, I think, 7 folks, maybe 8 that still have never told me because their emails don't work. I don't know what's going on. I email asking for, is it going to be the stainless or is it going to be the camo? And they don't get back to me. And then, it's a mess. Okay. Anyway, that's what you need to do. And look forward tomorrow to talking to you some more. And today I've enjoyed talking to you a lot.